Gary decided to show off again. He runs at the window and slams into it. Bounces off perfectly. He decides to do it again. Hurls himself at the same window with full force. The entire window frame pops out of the building. He falls 24 stories and dies instantly on the stone courtyard below. Here's the darkly ironic part. Even after falling 24 floors, the glass remained intact. Falling dog. Buenos Aires, 1988. A little poodle named Kachi was standing on the balcony of a 13-floor apartment building. Kachi climbed onto the railing and slipped. Down on the street, 75-year-old Marta Espina was walking home. The dog hit her at full speed, killing Kachi instantly and leaving her critically injured. But this bizarre tragedy didn't end there. A second woman, Edith Sola, crossed the road to see what had happened. Distracted by the scene, she stepped into traffic and was struck by a bus, dying instantly. Moments later, an elderly man who witnessed the accident suffered a heart attack and collapsed. One falling poodle, 3 tragic deaths. Showing off. In the mid-1990s, on a rooftop in the city, a man wanted to show his date how fearless he was. So he pointed to the next building, a gap of several feet, and said he could jump across it. She laughed, thinking he was joking, but he wasn't. Before she could react, he backed up, took a running start, and launched himself off the roof, and instantly realized he wasn't even close. He missed the ledge by feet, slammed into the side of the opposite building, and fell all the way to the street below. Emergency crews arrived, but there was nothing they could do to help. What makes it even wilder is that he wasn't a stuntman at all, just someone trying to look cool for a moment, and it cost him everything. Killed by a head. Sigurd Eysteinsson was one of the most feared Viking warriors of his time. Around 892 AD, Sigurd challenged a local chieftain named Mael Bragta. The fight was brutal, but Sigurd won. After the battle, Sigurd beheaded Mael Bragta and strapped the severed head to his saddle as a trophy. Sigurd mounted his horse and began the ride home. As he rode, his calf bumped against the severed head hanging from his saddle. Mael Bragta's protruding tooth scraped across Sigurd's exposed leg, leaving a small scratch. Sigurd thought nothing of it. The scratch became infected, likely from bacteria on the dead man's tooth. Within days, Sigurd the Mighty died an agonizing death from a simple scratch. Even in death, Mael Bragta had his revenge. Nose versus gun. A hunter in the United States was sitting with his rifle resting between his legs. While waiting, he felt an itch on the side of his nose. Instead of using his hand like a normal human, he lifted the barrel of his loaded rifle and used it as a scratching tool. When he moved the gun, his finger brushed the trigger. Bang! The shot went straight through his head. He died instantly. Proof gone wrong. In 1871, a lawyer named Clement Vallandigham was defending a man accused of murder. The prosecution said the victim was shot during a fight, but Vallandigham had a different theory. He believed the victim shot himself while trying to draw his pistol. So during the trial, the lawyer did something insane. He grabbed a gun, bent over, and attempted to reenact the scene to show how the weapon could fire by accident. He didn't know the gun was loaded. In front of multiple witnesses, the pistol discharged. Bang! The bullet enters his abdomen at almost the exact same spot where victim was shot. He dies 12 hours later from internal bleeding. Vallandigham won his case by accidentally doing to himself exactly what he claimed happened to the victim. Death by fans. Around 620 BC, Athens had a lawmaker named Draco, a man famous for creating the first written laws of the city. One day, during a ceremony, Draco entered a crowded theater. His supporters wanted to honor him in a traditional way, by throwing cloaks and capes at their hero. But they threw too many. Hundreds of people tossed their heavy garments at Draco, until he disappeared under a giant pile of fabric. By the time the crowd cleared the cloaks, Draco had been smothered to death. The strictest lawmaker in Athens, killed by too much love. Vending machine. In 1995, a college student in the United States faced a problem everyone knows too well. The vending machine took his money and gave him nothing. Most people would just sigh and walk away. But not this guy. Frustrated, he grabbed the machine and started shaking it, then rocking it harder, then pulling it forward like he was determined to win the fight. But vending machines aren't light. They weigh close to 900 pounds of steel. After one big pull, the machine tipped, leaned forward, and suddenly collapsed on top of him, trapping him underneath. Emergency crews arrived, but he didn't make it. Death by laughter. Chrysippus of Sole was the second founder of Stoicism, a philosophy teaching emotional control and self-restraint. One day, he saw a donkey munching his figs and shouted to a servant,
Give the donkey some wine to wash down the figs.
The mental image of a drunk donkey sent him into hysterics. He laughed so violently that he collapsed. He kept laughing hard. Then he stopped breathing. A man who spent his life teaching self-control died from laughing at his own joke. Turtle drop. In 455 BC, the legendary Greek playwright Aeschylus stepped outside to enjoy the sun. Unfortunately, a hungry eagle flying above was searching for a rock to drop a turtle on, a trick birds use to crack shells. From the sky, the eagle saw Aeschylus's shiny bald head and mistook it for the perfect rock. The bird dropped the turtle, and it hit Aeschylus square on the skull, instantly killing him. The man who wrote tragedies died in a comedy. P. In 1601, legendary astronomer Tycho Brahe attended a royal banquet in Prague, a fancy event filled with nobles, music, and way too much wine. But there was one rule Tycho took very seriously: never leave the table during dinner. Doing so was considered disrespectful, so when Tycho felt his bladder bursting, he refused to get up. He held it and kept holding it, out of pure etiquette. The pain grew unbearable, but Tycho stayed seated the entire night. By the time he returned home, his bladder was completely blocked. 11 days later, the greatest astronomer of his age died from not peeing at a party. Ironic exit. In 1971, health guru Jerome Irving Rodale appeared on The Dick Cavett Show. Rodale was famous for preaching clean eating, fitness, and long life, and on stage he bragged proudly,
I'm going to live to 100.
Then he joked,
I've never felt better.
The audience laughed. The host laughed. But fate had other plans. Moments after finishing his interview, Rodale leaned back in his chair and suddenly stopped responding. Everyone thought he was joking. Even Cavett asked,
Are we boring you, Mr. Rodale?
But he wasn't bored. He had died instantly, right after saying he would never die.